Ausia Konkonku TV suni ya sanswa baby ani ensemporo ensembig sisi papa. Na ese de ani yi government appointees embo ye adwuma wa Akufo-Addo apenso munye yire de sanse. Mahama serious bi a waye pa wode bedoa mo no enya sento amaso be hye papa sanse ora no ahu dwumadi ebedie ni ade no enya sento a ase anamuntu a wotu odi abo ma yi public person ho ban no ene asuani asase e ka kire wo so na ho nsensem odi tu ya ne ade efefa ho nyina ne toto ya waye nyina tutua ayede ema wo tie na hwe subscribe na share na mofoforo ensenke babusua yentie e mampanyi yire de ene anamuntu a otu ade asiesie oman Ghana.
Hundreds of millions of dollars spent on the importation of fuel oils for power production annually. With regards to renewable energy, this administration will soon operationalize a renewable energy and green transition fund to enhance efficiency and accelerate Ghana's transition to renewable energy. This initiative will drive investments in sustainable energy solutions, including solar street lights, rooftop solar installations, off-grid solar systems, electric vehicle charging stations, and rechargeable outboard motors. These measures will reduce dependence on the national grid and position Ghana as a leader in Africa's green energy transition. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's petroleum sector has witnessed a precipitous decline, with crude oil production sinking by more than 32%. This has resulted from the high opacity levels, a very hostile business climate, and excessive political interference in the sector, culminating in most of the major oil companies exiting and stalling all upstream activities. The decline in upstream activity is obvious to any person familiar with the twin cities of Sekondi and Takoradi. Just under a decade ago, these cities were the bustling epicenter of fabrication, logistics, service activity associated with the upstream oil and gas sector. Unfortunately, my recent visit reveals many shutdown facilities and many businesses have packed and left the shores of our country. Hundreds of workers have been laid off and left unemployed. I wish to assure the good people of Sekondi Takoradi and indeed the whole Western region that we are going to breathe life back into your area. Mr. Speaker, we have already commenced revitalization of our upstream petroleum sector by creating a business-friendly and congenial environment for our partners and other prospective investors who wish to come in. My meeting with the players in the upstream sector have been extremely positive, and we have been assured of substantial investments running into billions of dollars in the very near future. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Energy and Green Transitions gave the directive for the removal of the unitization based on the arbitration that took place. We believe that this will open the way for an amicable resolution of the issues between Springfield and ENI. And this should make our oil and gas prospects more attractive to investments going forward. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has fertile lands, abundant water, and human resources. Yet we face a paradox. Our food import bill continues to soar, reaching alarming levels of over $2 billion annually. In addition, rising food inflation is burdening households and threatening livelihoods. To address this, we're implementing several well-considered policies to grow the agricultural sector, including agro-processing. This will be backed by reliable power supply to meet our country's needs while advancing exports to earn foreign exchange and strengthen our economy. Mr. Speaker, the Agriculture for Economic Transformation Agenda, AETA for short, will modernize agriculture, enhance agribusiness, ensure food security, it will lower food inflation, it will boost exports, and create sustainable jobs. The Feed Ghana program will increase food production and reduce prices through projects like the Grain Development Project, focusing on rice, maize, and soya bean production. The Vegetable Development Project will target crops such as tomatoes, onions, and pepper. Our Poultry Farm to Table project will eliminate poultry imports and increase local production. Ghana imports 95% of its poultry needs, which costs over $300 million annually. To reverse this trend, government plans to revamp the poultry sector by investing in hatcheries, feed mills, processing, and distribution, working towards eliminating poultry imports. And this is a good one. The Akufo-Addo project. We actually have a project called Akufo-Addo. The Akufo-Addo project will cover 55,000 households producing eggs and fresh poultry for the market, and it will help reduce our $300 million we spend on importing chicken annually. Mr. Speaker, to strengthen the connection between agriculture and industry, we will prioritize value addition, processing, and distribution, and this will position agriculture as profitable and appealing, making it more attractive to our young people. We will implement an Agri-Next program to facilitate access to land banks by young farmers, to connect graduates with opportunities in the agricultural value chain, and promote greenhouse agriculture among the youth. This initiative will benefit approximately 30,000 young people. Mr. Speaker, the Livestock Development Project will also address Ghana's reliance on imported meats by restocking breeding farms and increasing local livestock production, thereby creating jobs and boosting self-sufficiency. For years, access to mechanization, quality seeds, fertilizer, and extension services has been a major challenge to our farmers. To address this, government will establish our flagship farmers service centers in every agricultural district, ensuring that farmers receive essential mechanization services and resources to improve their productivity and efficiency. Mr. Speaker, also in the fisheries sector, we implement strategic interventions to enhance productivity and sustainability. Key among these initiatives is the continued enforcement of measures to curb illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, which threaten our marine biodiversity and the livelihoods of our hard-working fisherfolk. We have intensified surveillance and monitoring operations, bolstered by the deployment of modern technology and strengthened collaboration with our key stakeholders. In the last month, we have expanded the supply of subsidized premixed fuel to support artisanal and industrial fishers, ensuring affordability and availability. We'll also invest further in modern fish landing sites and cold storage facilities to improve post-harvest handling and thereby reduce losses and enhance the quality of our fish products. Aquaculture development is a key focus of our administration. We'll provide financial and technical support, especially to young fish farmers, increasing fish production and reducing our dependence on fish imports. To increase the value addition in this sector, we'll encourage the establishment of fish processing facilities, create more jobs, and boost exports. Our commitment to supporting women in the fisheries sector remains steadfast as we implement the programs to empower female fish processors and traders with financial capital and capacity building initiatives. While we work hard to fix the economy and provide jobs in all sectors, including agribusiness, one of the biggest crises we face in this country is youth unemployment. Youth unemployment has led to despair and frustration. The latest estimates show that up to 2 million of our young people are unemployed. This poses a major security risk for our country and requires urgent attention. To bring much needed focus to the desperate and widely scattered youth employment programs and to ensure stricter accountability in their implementation, I have set up the Ministry for Youth Development and Empowerment in furtherance to the promise I made in the campaign. This ministry, that is the Ministry for Youth Development and Empowerment, is mandated to formulate, coordinate, and monitor policies and programs to promote youth development and empowerment in this country. Mr. Speaker, as part of our Operation Recover All the Loot policy, Mr. Speaker, as part of our Operation Recover All the Loot policy, ORA, I've already tasked our investigative bodies to bring the culprits of the National Service ghost name scandal to justice. Such brazen theft of public funds must not go unpunished. It is estimated that the criminal addition of some more than 80,000 ghost names could have yielded the suspects over 50 million Ghana cedis every month. Unfortunately, some of these suspects are believed to have absconded from the country already. I have directed that they be declared wanted and their assets traced and frozen until investigations are completed. To achieve a legally robust regime to govern national service, I've also tasked the Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment to coordinate and present to Parliament a legislative instrument to support the implementation of the newly passed National Service Authority Act 2024. That's Act 1119. We will introduce short military training as part of our national service scheme. This will instill a sense of fitness and discipline into our youth. The administration of scholarships is another challenge. It has been fraught with a lot of challenges. The poor who genuinely need scholarships are unable to access them because the rich and wealthy always crowd them out. To fulfill our government's vision of promoting transparency, equity, and sustainability in the scholarship scheme, we shall streamline the award process to ensure that not only deserving youth benefit from the system, deserving youth benefit from the system. We shall introduce increased transparency, including publishing the list of beneficiaries every year into small, medium, and large scale, each with its tailored regulations. Mr. Speaker, we will establish a gold board, and we're in the process of doing it. Legislation will come to this House shortly. This gold board will ensure effective governance of the gold industry. At the same time, we wish to take advantage of Ghana's salt production capacity to place it as a central export commodity under the African Continental Free Trade Area. We will also seize opportunities presented by the global shift towards net zero emissions to craft policies related to critical minerals such as lithium. The anticipated development of the integrated aluminium and iron industry will significantly increase the value of Ghana's natural resources. In our commitment to restoring degraded forests, we will launch the Tree for Life restoration policy and the Blue Water Initiative, which will transform mined-out areas into ecological recovery zones. This ambitious afforestation program aims to establish more than 50,000 hectares of new plantations and undertake 5,000 hectares of enrichment planting annually. We'll also implement public sensitization campaigns to foster sustainable forest management practices and uphold the Wildlife Resource Management Act. We're going to involve school children and the general public in tree planting and tree growing. Mr. Speaker, comprehensive reforms will be introduced to enhance transparency and efficiency while ensuring tenure of security in land administration. Climate change remains a pressing concern for Ghana and the global community. To meet our climate mitigation targets, Ghana has allocated 24 million metric tons of its carbon budget, totaling 64 million metric tons of carbon for authorization under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. We've successfully authorized 3 projects which are poised to reduce 5.2 million tons of our carbon emissions. In line with our manifesto, we are committed to strengthening institutional and human capacity through necessary adaptation and mitigation measures to bolster resilience in critical sectors such as agriculture, forestry, energy, and water resources. We also pledge to align our national policies with international efforts to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade by 2050 and promote a fair and just transition to renewable energy sources. Mr. Speaker, we stand on the cusp of making history. The history of a country that prioritizes transparency and accountability as key elements of governance. During my campaign for president, I pledged, as captured by the NDC's 2024 manifesto, to take a strong stance against corruption. Mr. Speaker, we must end state capture. Mr. Speaker, we must end the purchase of state and public assets, such as land and other immovable assets, by members of the political class. Mr. Speaker, I pledge to fight corruption head-on by implementing Operation Recover All the Loot, oral. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, one of the first committees I established, even before my investiture as president, was to establish the oral committee on the sidelines of our transition. It is instructive to announce that the committee received over 2,000 complaints from the public and has since handed over a comprehensive report. This report has been given to the Attorney General for further review, thorough investigation, and eventual prosecutions. Mr. Speaker, the recent arrest related to the unwarranted payment of $2 million of Ghanaian taxpayers' money in the Sky train saga, and then also the National Service Ghost name scandal, mark only the beginning of a comprehensive response based on the oral committee's findings. Mr. Speaker, let me state that my commitment to fighting corruption will continue with the establishment of a unit at the presidency and the maintenance of the hotline, where complaints and reports regarding graft and corruption will continue to be received and transferred to the Office of the Attorney General. Mr. Speaker, we will shortly submit for consideration a bill to regulate and restrict the sale of disposal of public lands and state assets. Mr. Speaker, as soon as the 2025 budget is approved, government will immediately take steps to reform the existing anti-corruption agencies by increasing funding and improving transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians voted largely and overwhelmingly and endorsed the NDC because we demonstrated a strong commitment and abhorrence for corruption. We pledged to fight corruption and implement far-reaching reforms that will eventually achieve a sustainable zero-tolerance policy against corruption. Mr. Speaker, the justice and legal sectors play pivotal roles in ensuring accountability and fostering the fair, equitable treatment of all our citizens by the state and its agencies. Delays and uncertainties have plagued justice delivery in Ghana, leading many Ghanaians to perceive a politicization of the judicial process. The public trust in the judiciary's independence is alarmingly low. We must work together to restore confidence in the judiciary. My government will uphold the judiciary's independence and work with the Judicial Council and services to depoliticize justice delivery and collaborate closely with the Chief Justice to combat corruption effectively. Mr. Speaker, in line with our manifesto promise to reform and expand legal education, we have developed a legal education reform bill ready to be presented to Cabinet for approval and laying before this August House Parliament. Mr. Speaker, on January 30th, 2025, I inaugurated the Constitution Review Committee to undertake a comprehensive review of our fundamental law and ensure that it reflects the hopes and aspirations of our citizens. The committee is composed of distinguished scholars, jurists, and professionals who have made significant contributions to our nation in both the public and private sectors. They will engage Ghanaians and consult with the relevant stakeholders and experts over the next 6 months. Their findings will ultimately be presented to the public for approval, followed by submission to Parliament for enactment into law, and referendums will be held where necessary. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that Ghana's internal security remains stable, despite developments primarily rooted in chieftaincy disputes. We firmly believe that even amidst conflict, it is essential for our citizens to coexist peacefully and seek amicable resolution to these disputes. We'll initiate comprehensive reform across all security agencies to strengthen our national safety and security. One area that has garnered significant public scrutiny is the recruitment process within our security forces. Accusations of politicization, favoritism, protocol, and selectivity have been prevalent. Let me assure you that we're committed to changing that narrative and fostering a more transparent and equitable recruitment policy so that all our young people who wish to serve in these services have an opportunity to do so. We are dedicated to enhancing the capabilities of the Ghana Police Service, the Prison Service, the Ghana National Fire Service, the Immigration Service, and the Narcotics Control Commission, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, and all investigative bodies operating under the Ministry of Interior. By motivating and re-equipping these agencies, we aim to effectively maintain internal peace and security. Mr. Speaker, I want to reaffirm this government's unwavering commitment to prioritizing the welfare and well-being of our brave men and women in uniform who sacrifice daily to uphold law and order and secure our nation's peace. We will invest in adequate equipment and suitable accommodation for our security personnel. As Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, I want to emphasize our determination to strengthen our democracies. This is particularly true given the troubled proliferation of military-grade weapons that have fallen into unauthorized hands. These weapons pose a significant threat to our national security and our constitutional democracy. They endanger the safety of all Ghanaians and potentially exacerbate existing conflicts such as chieftaincy disputes and in many cases fall into the hands of armed robbers. Since taking office, we have pursued a responsible approach to account for these unregistered weapons while maintaining stability within the security apparatus. I'm pleased to report that we've made substantial progress and are committed to ensuring that those responsible for this situation are brought to book. In our efforts to safeguard our citizens, Mr. Speaker, to safeguard our territory, to maintain our democracy, we remain vigilant against the threat of violence, extremism, and terrorism. Therefore, we are resolute in enhancing our defense mechanisms through diplomacy, counterintelligence, information sharing, infrastructure development, and the acquisition of appropriate technology. Achieving a stable and secure nation necessitates the motivation of our uniformed personnel. Currently, the Ghana Armed Forces faces a housing shortfall of over 17,000 units, and we recognize that the inadequate state of barrack accommodation needs to be addressed promptly. In addition to housing, we'll prioritize improvements